सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणाम् अपेक्ष्योऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। Okay, so here in Atmabodha, the last verse that we saw was about how is it that we are able to perceive, feel or think when our body, mind and intellect is made up of 5 elements which are by themselves inert. They cannot do anything, and the truth being infinite, there is no modification possible in that. But yet in our heart we feel a presence, and because of that presence we are able to see, hear, taste, smell, touch. So I see, I feel, I hear, I taste, I touch. That feeling, how does it come? How does this inert appear to be sentient? So we saw that when both these come together, like the bulb and the electricity come together, then there is light. Same way the equipment and consciousness, when they come together, then this feeling of I know or I experience, that comes about. But when we are not able to see that there are these two very clearly different from each other, we think that the body is alive on its own. And so we feel that there is no other consciousness, or there is no God, there is no truth or reality. So that verse said that is because of not having proper discrimination. Now, that same thought is continued forward in 26, where he says, Atmano vikriya nasti buddher bodho na jatviti Jiva sarvamalam jnatva jnata drashteti muhyati. So the same thought process this is, that Atmano vikriya nasti, in the pure consciousness Sat Chit Anand, there is no modification possible, because it is changeless, it is imperishable, it is unborn, undying. Like on the screen, there is no movie. Screen is only the substratum. The screen remains unaffected. If we are seeing a movie, that is because the screen is the basis. But on the screen by itself, there is nothing. In the same way, Atma by itself, there is no change in it. And Buddhi, Bodho na Jatviti, by itself, Buddhi is incapable of knowing anything. Then what happens? Jiva sarvamalam jnatva. But both these, when they come together, that Atma which is infinite appears as a finite Jiva and thinks of itself, Jiva sarvam alam jnatva. That Jiva thinks of oneself as a limited entity and thinks I am the seer, I am the enjoyer, I am the knower. This is the delusion. So when a person who studies Vedanta understands very clearly that this body, mind, intellect is just an equipment, it is a tool. This is not me. See, at such times is when Vedanta comes into a lot of our rescue. When there is so much of fear all around, what is that fear all about? It is the fear about this body, this individuality. The more I think of myself as this limited being, more there will be fear. The next verse actually speaks about that. The more I identify myself with the Atma, more fearless I will be. In the past, we have seen so many great masters who have identified themselves with the self, they became fearless. But when I don't identify with the self, now I think I am this body, body by itself is perishable, I am the ego, Mr. So and so, the Jiva, then the Jiva goes through insecurity. But if there is clarity, then there is no confusion at all. That the imperishable truth is what is making this perishable body function. Like the bulb may fuse, but nothing happens to electricity. Another bulb is put in the same holder, again electricity will illumine that bulb, again light comes. So it's a question, what do I identify with? Do I identify with the perishable or do I identify with the imperishable? Even if I'm able to sit quietly for 5-10 minutes in a day and learn to withdraw my attention from everything that is perishable. Anything that is perishable, that is temporary. It may be sensations of the body, it may be feelings, it may be thoughts, it may be certain things around us. So if I withdraw from the things around, from sensations of the body, from the feelings, from the thoughts, and I become still, that stillness is boundless. There is no fear in that. A person who can experience that quietude regularly will know very clearly that I exist away from this body, mind, intellect. My nature is peace, my nature is bliss, my nature is Sat Chit Anand. That person experiences absolute peace. No fear, no panic, no insecurity, nothing. But why are we still experiencing that? In spite of our nature being this, that is because of false identification. So the next shloka goes on to explain the famous analogy of the rope and the snake. Rajju sarpavadatmanam jivam jnatva bhayam vahet naham jiva paratmeti jnataschet nirbhayo bhave. So he says Rajju sarpavad atmanam. When I don't see the rope and I see the rope as a snake, in the same way, when I don't see the self and I see myself as this limited jiva, jivam jnatva bhayam vahet. One becomes scared. Why? Because the moment I feel that there is a snake there, the fear will arise. The snake has bit me, poison is going all over the body, now I'm going to die, what will happen to me, what will happen to my family, all that fear arises. So this fear is because of not seeing clearly that this is a rope, and then in place of the rope seeing it as a snake. When I understand that that is not a rope, there's not a snake, it's just a rope, no fear. In the same way, what is the truth here? The individuality is like the snake that is projected. What is the truth? The truth is my nature is Atma. So Naham Jiva Paratmeti. I am not this perishable entity. I am that supreme consciousness. Jnatas Chet Nirbhayo Bhave. When a person is aware of that truth, becomes fearless. So now, see, this verse also is so appropriate right now when there is so much fear everywhere. So let us see the deeper aspects of fear. So what is fear exactly? See, when we feel scared, what happens to us? There are different types of fears. Some of them are biological fears. Like today, what we are going through, the fear of disease, fear of accident, you see, biological fears, fear of getting hurt, fear of old age, fear of death. So biologically, one suffers. So fear is there because I don't know something, and the consequences of that I am going to suffer. So there is a fear. To avoid pain, fear will come up. So if I'm seeing something or I'm experiencing something which I can't deal with, or which is uncertain, I don't know something about, like future, what is going to happen, I don't know. Now imagining so many things, I will start getting anxious, fear will come. So 3 steps, fear works in 3 steps. First step is ignorance, I don't know. Second step is imagination. What if this happens? What if that happens? And the more negative the imagination goes, more there will be fear. And third is, I can't handle it. Ignorance, imagination, I can't handle it. Now, when this happens, I can't handle it, then I want to run away. I want to escape. And the more I try to escape, the more that fear will grow. Applies to every type of fear. So one fear type we saw is biological fear. So now I don't know what can happen. Who are the people around me? In what way can the virus come? No idea, because it is very, it's not easy to understand. It can be on any surface. It can be in the hands of anybody. It can be, the person can be infected. Now, if some, and it is asymptomatic, then that is more scary. So when that uncertainty is there, now I don't know. Now the mind starts imagining. What if this happens? What if that happens? And then there are enough WhatsApps and messages which go around which can really scare us also. So then one gets psyched up more and more. And the more one gets psyched up, the more one feels panicky. You know, today only I had shared on my social media one very nice infographic. Fear zone, learning zone, and growth zone. I'm just going to share that on the screen. So now you see there are these three. Who do I choose to be during the COVID-19? The first zone is the fear zone. So I search and share everything that I can find about COVID-19. I get irritated, I panic buy, I act like a victim, looking who is to blame, why did this whole thing happen? I hoard toilet paper, food, medicines that I don't need. Is fear zone. And many things can happen. These are just a few examples. In fear zone, people do so many things. So when I don't know, and then my mind imagines negatively, and then I start panicking, then there's fear in my mind. Whole day I keep seeing the news and keep seeing, array, how many people got infected, how many people died, this happened in USA, this happened in Spain, this happened in Italy, now this is happening in India, what is going to happen? And keep reading some of the articles which can really create panic. Now I don't know the ground reality. You know, one article, one news agency had put out completely fake article. And they quoted one person who is supposed to be a doctor. But when they did the proper research, that person is not even a doctor. That person happened to be some engineer, and they have just used the name, quoted him left, right, and center, and now they spread the word that India has already entered stage 3, community spread, and some crores of people are going to be affected by next 2-3 weeks. So much of panic created, all false. So fear zone, one can operate out of fear zone and whole day be obsessed by this. Many of the mental health experts, what are they saying? That even if you want to know about this, right now we are in a lockdown period, you fix a time saying ki morning 15 minutes, evening 15 minutes, I will check the news, what is happening, just to become aware and alert. Rest of the day, don't bother. Take whatever precautions the doctors, etc. have told us, and rest of the time, spend time doing other things. Where is the need to be obsessed with this? But there are so many people completely obsessed. So I need to move out from that fear zone to the learning zone, where I slowly learn to accept things as they come. I look for opportunities. Which are the areas? What can I learn in this 21 days of lockdown? Whatever is causing me harm, I restrict and I don't consume that. Make a program for myself. Put a schedule. That is one of the most important aspects. Every day, at least sometime in the morning, sometime in the evening, should be certain fixed schedule. And also understand that each one is doing their best while facing some very difficult situations. So be kind, be compassionate. So then I'm in the learning zone, where I can use these 21 days appropriately, positively, proactively, rather than in a fear zone. Then one goes from there into the growth zone, where I actually think about how can I help people. There are individuals, there are organizations who are doing so much of service at all different levels. Which way can I help? Whether it is through funds, whether it is through some other logistic support or through any other method, how can I help? Live clearly in the now, with a certain understanding that these 21 days I'm going to spend in this way in service of the society. Through me, these things can happen. I feel grateful to be able to contribute and serve. And also feel grateful for what all we have. We are able to sit quietly in the comfort of our home, safe and secure. There are people out there battling so many types of different things. Apart from the disease, there is irritation of the public, there is fear, there is violence, there is conspiracy. So many things are happening out there. We are safe. So gratitude, being appreciative of what people are doing, and in that way learn to grow. So I'm not in a waiting room or in between this life. In between, meaning I am not stuck. I am in the comfort of my home. So I have to choose how I want my time to be spent, how I want my thought process to be. So slowly one can get out of this fear, from fear zone to learning zone to growth zone. One should move out. Otherwise the panic will just destroy. So when I don't know something, then the mind imagines. So biological fear we spoke about. There is emotional fear, the fear of losing one's possessions, the fear of loneliness, the fear of rejection, the fear of people in the relationships. There are challenges in the relationship. So one can have intellectual fears, emotional fears. Intellectual fears are fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of reputation, fear of self-esteem going down. So different levels of fear are there, but the basic aspect of all fears will be that there is ignorance, there is false projection, and then there is escapism. I don't know, then there is imagination, and I can't handle it. In the rope and snake example also that can apply. I don't know that there is a rope, I imagine there is a snake, now I can't handle it. So what is the solution? The moment I come to know what is the truth, if I put a torchlight and I see clearly, then I see, array, it was just a rope. So the moment I know the truth, when we apply it in Vedantic way, that so much of anxiety, tension, worries, all this I'm going through because I feel I am this individuality. Do we have these tension, worries, anxieties in the deep sleep? We don't have. In Samadhi Avastha, we don't have. So what does that mean? The moment this individuality rises, then it comes with all these. Hence he says, Jiva, Jivam Jnatva Bhayam Vahet. If I think I am a limited Jiva, then I will be scared. There is no other way to fearlessness except these two. One is knowledge of the absolute self, other is complete detachment. Vairagyameva abhayam. So Vairagya gives fearlessness and self-knowledge brings fearlessness. If I do not have either of these two, I must have complete surrender, faith. So they are same. Detachment in language of knowledge is equal to surrender and faith in language of devotion. Even right now, I can invoke the grace of the Lord and I can surrender to the Lord and I can feel that the grace of the Lord, blessings of the Lord is there with me. It is protecting me and the Lord will take care. The whole world is going through so much. Already physically there is a threat to life. Now emotionally also I'm getting psyched up, intellectually I'm getting confused. Then what is happening? The solution is to invoke faith. Faith brings a lot of strength within. Solution is to invoke detachment, that I do my best and leave the rest. There is nothing to be scared. Solution is to turn within and ask, am I this perishable body? Get the self-knowledge. So in that way, when we inquire more and more deeper, have faith that the Lord protects. In the Gita, he gave a promise, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I will take care of what the devotee needs and protect what the devotee has. Another promise he gave, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. My devotee shall not perish. So when we think deeper on these aspects, invoke faith, because faith and fear are opposed to each other. When there is true faith, there is no fear. Prahlad had no fear at all. Devotees don't have fear. In fact, one definition of a non-believer is that. Who is a non-believer? One who is scared is a non-believer. And one who complains is a non-believer. If I have faith in the Lord, then there is no need to have fear and then there is no need to complain. I can only be grateful. So in this way, the more I am able to dive deep, whether it is through faith or through detachment, that I have done what best can be done, now I don't have to worry. And whatever happens, I can deal with it. That faith in oneself also is required. So fear goes by faith, fear goes by detachment, fear goes by self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is the ultimate. See, faith and detachment can help us to overcome the emotional fears, intellectual fears, but the body identification that I am this, that goes only with self-knowledge, that I am not this. Naham Jiva Paratmeti. I am not this body and I am not the individuality. Does it mean I will not suffer? The body may go through some suffering. Does it mean that the body will not die? The body will die at one point. But while I'm living, why should I allow that to disturb my mind? Anyway, the body is going to die. I don't know who said, Shakespeare said or somebody said, in English they have a nice quote. Heroes die but once, cowards die again and again. So once one has to die, which will be the death of the body. And actually speaking, body is dying every moment, whether we know it or not. Every cell in the body has such a short span of life. It keeps on dying. So many cells are dying every minute. So many are getting born also. This process of life and death is continuously happening through the whole body. So the more I abide in the self, that I am not this perishable body at all. This requires two aspects. One, it requires clarity and conviction in the intellect. Second is it requires me to sit down and withdraw my attention. If both these I can do, then that is a source of absolute fearlessness. Nothing can shake that person. So naham jiva paratmeti jnatas chet nirbhayo bhavet. That a person becomes completely fearless. Nirbhayo bhavet. So this is about how, due to lack of discrimination, I have mixed up the perishable and the imperishable. If I separate, then I understand I am the imperishable truth and I detach from the perishable body, mind and intellect. Continuing further now, on 28th verse he says, Atmavabhasayatyeko buddhyadinindriyanyapi Deepo ghatadivat swatma jadaisthairnavabhasyate. He says this jada vastu, this body, mind, intellect, buddhyadi indriyani api, the intellect, the mind, the senses, etc., they are by themselves inert. How are they illumined? They are illumined by consciousness. So the analogy given here is Deepo ghatadivat. There's a lamp which is put inside a pot. You know, in Navratri we use that. We call it as garbo. What is that garbo? There is one lamp, there is a pot which has holes. And this pot with holes, very nicely decorated from outside. And inside the pot, there is a lamp which is kept. And then the lid is put on the top. So what happens? In the dark, you will see that that pot is shining and rays of light are coming out from that pot. From the holes which are there in the pot, lot of rays of light will come out. And one considers that as a symbol of the Divine Mother, and one place around that, Garba, one place. So now that is the tradition, and that is the dance, folk dance that we do. But why do we do that? Because that Garbo is the symbol of the combination of Purusha and Prakriti. That Prakriti is the Divine Mother and Purusha is the consciousness. And we worship this combination of Purusha and Prakriti, in which the Purusha cannot express without the presence of the Prakriti. Purusha is otherwise infinite. Please remember here, Purusha doesn't mean a man. Purusha here means consciousness. Prakriti means nature, the 5 elements. So this body of a man or a woman or every creature is made up of Prakriti, the 5 elements. But enlivened by what? Enlivened by consciousness. So when we worship the Divine Mother, we are worshipping the Divine Mother to say that, oh Mother, you please help me by removing this veil of Maya from Avidya Maya, which is Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Please lead me to Vidya Maya, which is Sattva Guna. So it is by your grace that I can have the darshan of the self within, the consciousness within. You know, right now the Navratri period is going on. So in this Navratri, generally we don't light that Garbo. We do it in the second Navratri that comes in the second half of the year. But traditionally, it is supposed to be done at both the times, because the Garbo is a symbol of the Divine Mother. So every single day for 9 days we worship. And we are praying to the Divine Mother that bless us, that we can move from the perishable to the imperishable. You see, 8 days in this Navratra, 8 days, this Chaitra Navratri, 8 days we worship the Divine Mother. 9th day also we worship, but 9th day we also celebrate as what? Ram Navami. Ram is the symbol of that Supreme Brahman. 8 is the symbol of Prakriti. 5 elements, sun, moon, Jiva. Ashtadha Prakriti it is called. 8. So from this Prakriti to Purusha, I must go. That is a beautiful journey. And so here is given that example, Deepo Ghatadivat Swatma Jadaistair na avabhasyate. By itself, this lamp, by itself, this pot which is there, it can't give any light. It is by itself dull. It is the lamp inside the pot which is making this pot illumined. Our body is a pot. And in this body, there are how many holes? There are 9 holes. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 2 ears. Then the evacuating organ, reproductive organ. 9 holes in this body. All this which is happening through these 9 holes is because of the lamp inside. The lamp is in our heart. Now forgetting it, the lamp is inside, and because of that lamp, this is functioning. Now I am thinking I am this pot, and this pot by itself is giving light. So that is the mix-up that one has done. Where there are 2, one is thinking there is only 1. That by itself this BMI is functioning on its own. Like by itself the bulb is giving light. There is no electricity. So a person who understands this very clearly, that person, what will that person do? Vivek, discriminate. There is one imperishable in this perishable. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam yaha pashyati sa pashyati. In the Gita, there is a beautiful line in this 13th chapter. In the perishable, there is the imperishable. Whoever sees, that person sees. Meaning, whoever comes to identify with that imperishable truth within, wakes up, realizes the truth, becomes fearless, becomes absolutely blissful. So at such times, when there is so much of fear and anxiety all around, Vedanta has to be applied right now. This is the time to apply Vedanta. To identify more and more with the imperishable truth and less with the body, mind and intellect. If you feel convinced by the path of Vedanta, apply Vedanta. Say that Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am not this BMI at all. I do whatever is required to take care of it, take all precautions and whatever safety measures I have to do all that. But I am not this, full stop. Either follow the path of Vedanta or follow the path of Bhakti, saying that Bhagwan takes care, I do my best, and now I have faith that the Lord protects. Of course, in the name of faith, I don't do anything foolish. I definitely take whatever precautions required, because that is also part of the buddhi that Bhagwan gave us. But faith must be there to protect. So either through faith or through knowledge, let me remain fearless, let me remain more and more secure, because the more I do that, the more happier I shall be, and the more it will become easy for me to be at peace and help others also. Otherwise, I only start panicking. Everybody has to serve me. Kare bhai, you become quiet now. So each one can become a means to quieten themselves and spread that peace and strength around. When the times are difficult, then we must be a source of strength and inspiration for others. Our spirituality and our spiritual knowledge and anchoring must give us that capability. Otherwise, what is the use of this knowledge? It's just going to do, it is just going to remain some intellectual gymnastics. Nothing it will do. It must give me security. And it will. If I really apply this well, it will definitely give me security, because there is nothing more powerful than Vedanta. When I go deep into this understanding that I am not this body, mind and intellect. World War II was happening, and people asked Ramana Maharshi that please give some message that the whole world is in so much of pain. At two different times, two different people asked him. At one time he said, which world? There is no world at all. Because from that absolute state, where is the world? There is no world. But for us, that state may be difficult to experience right now. We are seeing the reality around. So at another time when they asked him the same question, he said, don't worry about the world, find out who you are first. Why? Because when I do my who am I inquiry, then I suddenly realize that this whole world and the experience of the world depends on this small I, Mr. So and so. When I inquire into who is that small I, then I understand that small I is a myth. It doesn't really exist. It's only because of this lack of discrimination that these two have got mixed up. The big I identifying with one BMI appears to be the small I. He said, inquire into the source of this small I, do the who am I inquiry. That is what is necessary. Rest the people will take care. If you are able to go and serve, do something positive, do it. If not, inquire into who am I and try to go to the source of this I. So that is what is the power of Vedanta. It goes to the root cause, eliminates that ignorance. If ignorance is gone, all false imaginations go away, all fear also goes away. The moment that person sees the rope, the imagination that it is a snake and then it has bit me and now I'm going to die, and then the fear, everything gone. So that is what has to be done, that we try to understand that there is a Atma, which is the imperishable truth in my heart, like the pot, the lamp in the pot. Now, having said that, if somebody says, now how will I know that? What is that which is needed to know that Atma? Because we use a, suppose I want to see something at the physical level, then I use my senses. If I want to experience something at the emotion level, then I feel, so I use my mind. If I want to experience some ideology or some values or some goals I want to achieve, then I use my intellect. So what will be required to know this truth? Because body, mind, intellect by itself are finite, they cannot know. So then what else is required to know this truth? So if somebody asks that question, the next verse says that nothing is required. It is self-illumination. See the 29th one. Swabodhe nanya bodhecha bodha rupatayatmanaha nadipasya nanya dipecha yatha swatma prakashane. He said, na dipasya anya dipecha. If there is a lamp which is shining, to see that lamp, do I need another lamp? I don't need, because the light of the lamp itself is shining. In the light of that lamp, I can see the lamp, I can see everything around it also. I don't need another lamp to see this lamp. Same way, the body, mind, intellect is functioning because of the presence of the Atma. Atma is self-illumining. Atma doesn't need anything else to know it. It is that because of which everything else knows what it knows. The body can perceive because of Atma. Mind can feel because of Atma. Intellect can think because of Atma. So if I don't identify with the BMI in meditation, then how will I know it? I will know it because it is self-illumining. Like in a dark room, if there is a lamp which is shining, do I need a torch to find that lamp? No. I may need a torch to see some other object which is not having its own light. But if a lamp is shining in one part of the dark room, then I don't need any other light to see that lamp. In the same way, when I go beyond body, mind, intellect, how will I know the self? If ego is not there, body, mind, intellect not there, then how to know? I will know because it is self-illumination. So, swabodhe na anya bodhecha. When a person comes to awaken to that state, there's nothing else required there. Bodha rupa tayatmana, because the nature of that self is illumination. See, our concept always is, I, Mr. So and so, will come to know something. So I understand physics, I know chemistry, I know art, I know painting, I know music. Where this I remains constant and I am acquiring knowledge of some objective science. What Vedanta is telling us, in realizing the source of this I, this small I goes. Now if small I goes, body, mind, intellect is not there, then who knows the self? In every other knowledge, objective knowledge, the ego knows other things. Now this ego only is gone, so who knows the self? That's why he says here, Bodha Rupa Tayatmanaha. It is the self knows itself and I am that self. Bodha Rupa is my true nature. Yatha Swatma Prakashane. Because it illumines itself. There is nothing else required to know the self. In fact, everything else will become a hindrance. I have to put aside my false notions, my emotional attachments, my physical cravings, ego. When I put all these aside, then what do I realize? Aham Brahmasmi. Now, who says that Aham Brahmasmi? Ego doesn't say Aham Brahmasmi. Because ego is finite. Ego cannot know that Supreme Brahman. But when the conditioning of that ego is gone, one realizes intuitively that I am that. So that is what this says, that Yatha Swatma Prakashane. There is no other consciousness that is required to illumine this consciousness. There is only one consciousness. That's it. And it is self-illumined. The best example is this. Na anya deepasya deepecha. Na deepasya anya deepecha. There is no other lamp required to see a lamp which is already shining by itself. Same way, we don't need anything else to know God. We don't need anything else to know consciousness. That is our true self. Like, does anybody say in a dark room you go, does anybody need a torch to know that one I exist as an individual? I have gone into a dark room. Now I don't need to put a torch on myself and put a light saying, do I exist or not? I exist, because of which everything else I can experience. Right now I can't see objects in the world outside, so I use a torch because the room is dark. But for my existence, I don't need any torch. I exist at all times. The body, the mind, the intellect can come and go, but this true I never goes. The more I experience my identification with that in meditation, that's what meditation is all about. It is not about blankness. It is about identifying with that pure consciousness that I am that Atma, which is enlivening body, mind, intellect, which is changeless, which doesn't, and which is of the nature of consciousness. It is not some inert thing. It is not some object. It is not an experience that comes and goes. It is the enlivener of all experiences. Like the screen remains all the time, whether there's a romantic scene, whether there is a violent scene, any scene it may be. The screen remains unaffected as it is. Same way our nature is that pure consciousness. Thoughts come, thoughts go. In what light am I seeing the presence of thought? Light of consciousness. When there are no thoughts, who is the knower of that no thoughts? Consciousness. So there is nothing else that is required to illumine this consciousness. Because if there are two consciousness, then they will become finite, they will become perishable. So one has to understand very clearly that there is only one consciousness, and right now it is in my heart as aham, aham, aham. Just that I have added adjectives to that. Meditation is to drop all those adjectives. Once I do that, the self reveals itself that I am that self. So generally our thought is always that I will have darshan of Bhagwan. So we always objectify. Our mind always wants to separate the known from the knower. So even in self-realization, we say, when will I have darshan of Bhagwan, or when will I experience a certain state in meditation, where the I remains constant. But this is the path which is most unique, where this I has to dissolve, the knower has to dissolve. And the moment that knower dissolves, the known is there already. What I am seeking, I already am. You see, that's the best part. The seeker is already the sought. There is no difference. The rope itself is appearing as the snake. So snake itself is the rope actually. But just that it is not known as the rope. So I am seeking happiness, but my nature is happiness. I am seeking peace, but my nature is already peace. Then why I don't know it? That's because I am identifying with the equipment. So the sadhana is detached from the equipment, detached from this body, mind, intellect identification, come to identify with that pure consciousness, and then the journey ends. Because there is no, what is the journey between the dreamer and the waker? There is no journey. The dreamer has to just wake up. The dreamer is only the waker already. So in the same way, the actor is the role. Actor is playing the role. So the moment the actor drops the role, one comes back to the actor. Nothing else is required. So the sadhana is to drop all the false identification and come to identify with the self-illumining infinite consciousness in one's own heart. So for today we will stop here, and in what we have discussed, anything to share, ask, you are welcome.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was absolutely outstanding. I don't know how much I can tell you, how much I've enjoyed, and I hope I can do this.
All of us can. Our nature is anyway that we can't escape from that.
Yeah.
Just a question is how quickly I want to get back to that. That's all.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay, so today happens to be the birthday of Radhika ji, and as per our tradition, so we will sing the birthday song for her. Janma dinamidam.
It's amazing, no, how we adapt to every kind of situation.
Your voice is breaking. Lakshmi, you are saying something.
I was just saying, it's amazing how we adapt to every situation. We have all managed.
It has gone on mute.
Now, so Swamiji now?
Now we can hear. Tell me.
Yeah, sir. So Swamiji, I was just saying how we humans are, how we manage to adapt to any challenges, any situation that comes. Like just something like this, our satsang. We found this online, way to do it. So if we put our mind to it, not only for this, anything which happens in life, not to be bogged down by it and accept it and, adapt to the situation. This whole situation teaches us so much. Ghar baithe also, we are managing to achieve so much. I think it's quite amazing what it's teaching us.
Yeah, that is true. It's a human spirit to adapt, and then we can do quite a bit actually if we have that positive attitude.
Yeah.
I'll share with you on the group. You can see a video where even in this lockdown situation in some country abroad, a person has managed to go on a date with the neighbor. Virtual dating with the neighbor, and then he goes and he gives some flower also to her with all the precaution and all that. Is very funny. On TikTok video somebody sent me. But saying that, what is the human spirit? You see how they are able to, if you have the positive attitude, how much you can do. The situation may be such that it can bog you down, but you have the human spirit of positivity, then you can go through it and achieve still what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Right. So we were saying that Radhikaji's birthday today, so let us sing for her. Janma dinamidam ai priya sakhe shantanotu te sarvada mudam prarthayamahe bhavashatayushi Ishvara sada tvam cha rakshatu punya karmana kirtimarjaya Jivanam tava bhavatu sarthakam janma dinamidam. So many
Thank you so
intelligence
much.
of the day.
Thank you.
May
Thank
God
you so
grace
much, Swami.
for today's blessings
Thank you.
be with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this was good. Satsang we had, first online satsang. Now all of you are used to it. I can actually sit happily in Juhu and do all my satsangs. I don't need to move out even after the lockdown. Anand is saying something. You have to unmute and speak.
Actually, Swamiji, really, for the environment purposes, if once in every other turn we actually do this, it'll be good for the environment.
Yeah, worth
Not every time, because we need to see you personally also, but some of the time. We can try it.
Yeah, we can, and people can join in online. Suppose some of them are traveling, then one can do online also. Anandji was saying something but couldn't hear because your audio was on mute. Ma, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I said, but it's different when you are there.
Life is more effective.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yes.
Company matters and the presence has a different impact also.
Yes.
But this is better than nothing.
Yeah. That's where it is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anandji, you were saying
Yeah. So I said today the most important is we don't need to look for happiness, which is so true that we are always looking beyond and not looking within. So I think this is a time for us to introspect, spend more time with ourselves, and find more of our own strengths.
Correct.
And we'll be doing much better, with every passing day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good time to introspect, good time to meditate, apply Vedanta. That can be done.
Yes, and lovely. And we will be doing more sessions now like this, so it will be good.
Right.
Also, as well as through new technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Swamiji, do some more sessions, no?
Yeah.
online.
I am
So
doing,
just saving time and travel. We'll learn more.
I am saving time in travel, but I'm doing so many classes. I am not on holiday. I'm overworking right now. Because
Okay.
everybody is on chutti, so
Ah.
everybody wants spirituality because they are on chutti right now.
Ah. Nice.
3 classes a day minimum are happening already.
3
Wow.
classes. Wow.
Yeah, I sent you on the group, so there are other satsangs happening. You can join them.
Okay. Lovely.
Okay,
lovely.
send on the group, Swamiji. Yeah, the
I
other
have
one.
already sent.
Okay, we check. Yeah.
I sent.
Thanks.
It is called Locked In E-Satsang. So yesterday we had on Mrityunjay Mantra. Before that we had on Shanti Mantra. Tomorrow morning it is on one of the Shanti Mantras from the Veda.
Okay.
With the
fine.
same group ID, Swamiji, the same group ID we can use every time.
No, not same group ID.
Meeting.
This group ID is different.
Okay, okay. So all groups have a different ID.
Yeah, but this E-Satsang has only one ID. There are about different like Tulsi Ramayana, Bhagavatam, like the different satsang, but all of them have only one ID.
Okay, okay, okay.
I will put that ID on the group.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be nice. And then we can just log in with
Yeah,
that
we
ID.
can log in and hear Swamiji. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, that'll be nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Swamiji. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Asato
Anita, how do I shut it?
Gamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma, Amritam Gamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.